Okay, we have 40 participants now, and it is 4:05. So I'm just going to go ahead and start. Good afternoon. My name is Alex Ameri. I'm the Director of Public Works for the City of Hayward. We are here to discuss Main Street Complete Street project with you. This project was initiated a few years ago as a project that would turn Main Street into a complete street, meaning that it is going to provide for more convenient use by pedestrians, by bicyclists, and others by public transit, and others would provide wider sidewalks for use by businesses and restaurants that are fronting on Main Street and so on. It was determined that Main Street has 4 lanes of traffic from D Street to McKeever, and 4 lanes are not required for transportation car purposes. So we have had a series of interactions and meetings. And by the way, this project is funded by a grant that the grant was given to the project because it is going to turn it into a complete street project. So we've had several meetings. The last one was before the Council Infrastructure Committee in January. They looked at different alternatives. They decided that an alternative that changed the design into 2 lanes plus protected bike lanes and wider sidewalk was more advantageous. But asked staff to have a meeting with all of the interested, affected businesses to get their input and see if they are on board or if they have other comments about the project. So that is why we are here. We wanted to do this, I think, in mid-March, but the day before our meeting, we went into the shelter in place, couldn't have the meeting, and finally we decided that rather than waiting, we'll have the meeting in this Zoom format. We have had successful meetings by Zoom before council and other entities and planning commission, and it has worked adequately and fine. So with that, I'm going to introduce Alex Tatt, who is the project manager for the project, to present the item. From Engineering and Transportation, Kathy Garcia, our Deputy Director of Public Works, is also here. And we are here all to hear your input and answer any questions. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex. My name is Alex Tatt. I will be providing a brief presentation on the Main Street Complete Street design concepts. Let me share my screen.
It's very good if you maximize it. Yes, it's good.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. So this is for the Main Street Complete Street design concepts. This is a brief summary of what I'll discuss. I'll talk a little bit about what the complete street policy is and purpose. I'll go through some existing site conditions and the general proposed complete street improvements. And then I'll go into the detailed review of the 2 design concepts we want to present today, and then the next steps and schedule. And then at the very end, we'll open the floor up for questions and discussion. Before I get too far, I'll have Irene provide more information on how to submit a question or comment through Zoom. And if you're on the phone, how to submit a question that way.
Thank you, Alex. Good afternoon, everyone. As Alex mentioned, at the end of the presentation, we're going to be opening the floor for discussion and for any questions you may have. If you are joining via phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. Also, if you are on the app, you have the option to access the Q&A function, and you can type in your question or your comment. And you can also use the raise your hand option, which you'll find under the participants button. At the end, we will be calling people by name. Please make sure that if you do submit a question, or actually if you're calling in, please say your name before so we can note that down. Any questions that you may have, we'll answer at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Irene. I'll move on to the overall project site plan. So this project is from D Street to McKeever Avenue. So in 2013, a complete street policy was adopted by the City Council. And in 2017, a complete street strategic initiative was adopted with the purpose to build and maintain streets that are safe, comfortable, and convenient for travel for everyone. One of the goals for this project in City Council is to improve pedestrian and bike safety and access to the downtown area. This project, as Alex mentioned, is partially funded by a grant from the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, and the project limits are from D Street to McKeever, as highlighted in green. At D Street, there's a right turn in and a right turn out configuration. There are traffic signals at the intersection of C Street, B Street, A Street, and then you have a four-way stop sign at McKeever Avenue. So this project will improve pedestrian access and add bicycle lanes to create a safe and convenient environment for multimodal travel in the downtown area. So multimodal travel means providing access to cars, buses, pedestrians, and bicyclists. Moving on to the existing site conditions. So currently the sidewalks are approximately 10 feet wide on both sides. And then you have parallel parking on both sides of the streets. There are a total of 4 travel lanes and 2 in each direction. Currently, Main Street has a bike route, but no dedicated bike lane. Moving on to the detailed concept view, this is a proposed cross-section of concept C1. So in general, both design concepts will reduce the total travel lanes from 4 to 2 lanes, and then widen sidewalks and add high visibility bike lanes, and then upgrade existing curb wraps to current standards, and also improve street lighting and repair and restripe the roadway. For concept C1, the key improvements are placement of a 5-foot, let me turn on my pointer. Key improvements are a 5-foot bike lane between the sidewalk, the new sidewalk, and a 2-foot median buffer. So it's almost like a protected bike lane scenario. So the separated bike lane improves safety to bicyclists for moving cars, and the median island buffer protects bicyclists from car doors. And the wider sidewalk provides potential for outdoor seating. The 11-foot travel lane serves also as a natural traffic calming element to the street. This is a more detailed plan view.
Before you move on, Alex, can you mention approximately how wide is the existing sidewalk and what is the width of this new one, which is 15, I can see.
Yes, so the existing sidewalk is about 9.5 to 10 feet wide here. Let me zoom in. So the existing sidewalk is about 10 feet, and this proposed concept C1 will increase the sidewalk about 5 feet. And as you can see here, this is in table format of just the cross section that was shown earlier previously. The cross section is just a little bit easier to visualize, so that's why I presented that first. But as you can see, this green striping here, this is the high visibility bike lane in these bulb out areas. That's what I talked about, and the bulb outs, help increase safety as you cross through there. So this is for concept C1. So the second concept plan C2, this is another cross section. The difference between this concept and concept C1 is that the bike lane is on the outside of the parking stall, and there is no 2-foot median buffer. So you have the sidewalk, which is a little bit wider, 17 feet compared to the existing 10 feet. And then you have the 7-foot wide parking stalls, 5-foot bike lane, and then the travel lane. And it's just a mirror image on the other side. Then again, the 17-foot wide sidewalk provides a lot of potential for outdoor seating. And this is, again, a detailed plan view of concept C2, similar to what you saw earlier. And this information is on just a table format. And the same improvements apply from C1 to C2 as far as the bulb outs, lighting, the improvements to lighting, and whatnot. So the only real difference you'll see is that the location of the bike lane relative to the street. As you can see here, it's between the parking and the travel lane, versus in concept C1, the bike lane is buffered between a 2-foot median buffer and the sidewalk.
So the landscape buffer is gone, and the 2-foot wide width has been added to the sidewalk and increased it from 15 to 17 feet.
Correct.
Okay.
So the next steps for the project and schedule, will present the community feedback from today's meeting to the CIC on July 22nd. And so that meeting date, the public will also have additional opportunities to provide more feedback. And during that meeting, we'll request the CIC to recommend a concept to move forward with the construction documents. And we expect to start construction design in the fall of 2020. So this kind of ends the presentation, and I'll open it up to questions and discussion. Again, you can submit a question via the Zoom Q&A app tab, or raise your hand in the Zoom app, or by telephone dial *9 to raise your hand. So I'll hand it over to Irene to provide questions for us to answer.
Okay. So we have a few hands raised. Also, Alex, I'm not sure if you can see the question and answer as well. We have 2 of them there. So I'm going to call on the first person that I see here. Call in user 1. I'm going to unmute you, and I'm going to allow you to give your comment. Also, please be sure to state your name. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Belda Go. First of all, thank you. This is a wonderful program. We long have not been excited about the changes on Main Street. But I wanted to find out, I live on Campus Drive down the street from Cal State East Bay, and we've had some treacherous situations here that are unsafe that we've been talking to the city about since 2017. Is there any chance that this project, I know this project is for Main Street, but if this initiative is going to be extended to throughways like ours that are residential but now have the feeling of a freeway and are very unsafe?
So I just want to point out that the city has a traffic calming program that is going to look into the condition and the speeding and the geometry of different streets, and as appropriate take actions to reduce the speed of traffic. One of the first projects that we are going to do is Hayward Boulevard project, and other projects can be looked into and assessed. But as you mentioned, this conversation today is limited to Main Street Complete Street project.
Okay, so how do we get involved with the coordinating? How do we do that?
The same way that you have been over the past months and years. by sending an email to Fred Kelly, our transportation manager, so that he's aware of your desire to discuss Campus Drive.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your call.
All right.
Bye.
Okay, I have a question from Kim Huggett saying the only bike lanes anywhere near these will be on B and C streets by Burbank School. Are there plans for additional bike lanes to connect with these? If so, where would they be?
Alex, I'm not sure if you want to take that, but I will just start by saying that the city is in process of approving a bike and ped master plan. It is going to be completed for submitting to our council for review in the fall. That is a complete plan for all of the bike lanes and sidewalk improvements in the city, and that will show how different bike lanes are going to be connected. I don't know if there is anything that Kathy or Alex, you want to add to what I just said.
Yeah, I think you're correct, Alex, with the bike master plan that will kind of, plan out the whole bike plan for the city, and
Right.
that's what I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you. Irene, next one.
Okay, I have a question from Bruce. 5 feet bike lanes not wide enough without a buffer. Since the buffer is required for bike safety, it makes sense to use it to separate cars from bikes, especially since there are fewer door openings on passenger side. I also want to mention, I do see Bruce's hand raised. If this is the only question you have, Bruce, please lower your hand. If not, just keep it up and we'll give you the chance to speak. Okay, I'm gonna unmute Bruce so that I can give him the permission to comment on his question.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Hello, this is Bruce Doogie. Yeah, I just want to voice my support for the protected bike lanes. The protected bike lanes are super critical to get those people who are a little bit bashful and shy about cycling to get on their bikes. So that would include families, children, moms and dads. So I try to cycle with my kids. I do cycle with my kids to school and other places. And the protected bike lane is really the only way to get those people who are interested in cycling but afraid, because everyone is concerned about conflicts between cars and bicycles. So, and it goes along with that whole 5 feet. A 5 foot bike lane is absolutely not adequate with a door zone. So you need some kind of a buffer from the door zone. 2 feet is a little, on the light side, but it's fine on the passenger side, because first of all, not many passengers are in cars. And then when they swing the door open, then you have 2 feet plus however far they park away from the curb. It seems like that's pretty good. And you can easily ride to the right of the bike lane, and it just seems fine. A 5 foot bike lane with a 2 foot buffer seems really great, but we just need to protect the cyclists.
So Bruce, what you're saying is that you are in favor of the concept that doesn't put the bicyclists next to cars, but there is the 2 foot buffer, which is concept 1.
Yes, yeah, concept 1 of the protected bike lane, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
And I think it's great, by the way. I love it. As soon as I saw it, that's fantastic.
Thank you for your comment.
Yeah.
Irene, next one.
Okay, I'm going to pass it over to Steve Dunbar. I'm going to unmute you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Steve.
Great. Hi, my name's Stephen Dunbar. I biked on Main Street to get to work pretty much every day for about a year and a half. I used it as a jog to go up towards the city center drive and then use the passover back to into Castro Valley to get to Castro Valley BART station, and then going back the other way down B Street to Watkins and then over into the Jackson Triangle. I'm also a board member for Bike East Bay. I'm here to basically be here for Susie Huffstetter, who it's her birthday today, so I'm filling in for her. So we are in support of option 1. We think it's the most protective for cyclists, and it still allows all the opportunities for parklets. It keeps the parking. We think it's the right compromise. One of the things that Susie spoke to in her email was about whether we could do it with as a temporary installation with bollards and things in the meantime. And that would be another sort of source of feedback, and people could get the assurance that it really will work with the future parklets and the wide sidewalks that we want to see in the future. So hope to get some comments back on that. Strongly in Bike East Bay, myself, strongly in support of option 1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a question on here from Colin. Is there a significant cost difference between C1 and C2?
We haven't done the cost estimates yet. I don't think that there is going to be a huge difference between the two of them.
Okay, another question from Michael Williams. Will the slide deck be made available to us after the meeting?
Yes, it will.
Okay, I have a few more hands raised. I'm going to call on Jenny Rawson to talk. Jenny, I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead. Hello, Jenny. Can you hear us? Okay, I'm going to put you back on mute.
And we'll get back to Jenny.
We'll get back to you. Let's call on Carl. Carl, I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead. Carl, you can speak.
Sorry about that. I thought it was okay. Hi, my name is Carl Gorge, and I live in downtown Hayward, and I ride my bike frequently through the area. So I have a couple of items that I'd like to bring up. The first one is on concept number 2. Now, usually when I ride down a road, and I can use Meekland Avenue as an example, when you have a bike lane right against the parallel parkings, sometimes there are vehicles that'll cross right over the lane, or the door opens, gets in the way. So I actually would be very supportive of adding a 2-foot buffer between the driver's side door and the bike lane, and then taking that out of the sidewalks, and so reducing the sidewalk from 17 feet to 15 feet. Agreeing with Bruce there.
Okay. So you're in support of C1?
No, that's C2. That's in concept number 2. Saying put a 2-foot buffer in between the driver's side door and having the bike lane between the car lane and
that's what I understood too. Okay.
Okay. So number 2. So when I attended the town hall earlier in January, me and a number of people there were interested in having diagonal parking along Main Street, and that wasn't presented as one of the options. And I think a number of people will be very interested in having diagonal parking. Now, I understand that it's not possible to fit diagonal parking on both sides of the road at the same time. However, it could very well work as a hybrid model, and I did the measurements of this, and I found that we can have diagonal parking on one side of the road and parallel on the other side of the road, and then if we wanted to alternate between the blocks. So I seriously would hope that you can consider this. There's some benefits to having diagonal parking, and of course this would mean reducing the sidewalk, keeping the sidewalks at 10 feet, adding a diagonal parking on one side of the road, but you can still extend the sidewalks in certain choice spots rather than have extended sidewalks down the entire road, which I don't think we need for the entire width of the road. We can pick choice spots such as in front of the old Green Shutter Hotel, for example. You can actually extend the sidewalk there, but still have and have parallel parking in front there, but then have diagonal parking in different areas. So if you want to learn more, I'd be happy to talk with you about it, what my ideas are.
Thank you for your comment, Carl.
Okay. Let's see, we have Reno Sanchez with their hand raised. Reno, I'm going to allow you to talk. I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, hi, my name is Reno Sanchez.
Gotta look at this dog.
Oh. My name is Reno Sanchez, and I'm a avid cyclist also. I live in San Leandro, but I roam around a lot. And one thing I'm starting to get more active in these community meetings, and I wanted to mention that well, first of all, that I'm also in support of the C1, having the buffer. Having the buffer.
Yes.
And I think that's just, as from a cyclist vantage point, that's the much better approach. And also, I wanted to bring up that that there's the San Lorenzo Creekway that's being in the works for the area, and that would be, would end up passing really close to this this bike lane. I was wondering if there's any plans for having kind of right of way or trail finding signs to like be able to connect trails.
Oh, that's a very good idea. You're talking about installing some signs to direct people to the trail?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll definitely look into that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then thanks for having this meeting.
Thank you for participating.
Okay.
Irene?
Yes, so the next question that I see here is from Juan Alvarado. Have existing business owners on Main Street asked the city for additional sidewalk space to potentially use for outdoor seating? I'm curious to know if the city is invested in having Main Street businesses that will utilize the additional sidewalk space for that purpose.
So we have had public meetings, including the one that we had earlier this year, that we had, my count at least, some close to 50 people showed up. Some were business owners and some were area residents. The city council has been talking about wider sidewalks in the downtown to accommodate uses by customers and the public. I am not sure if they have reached out to council members or to the city requesting wider sidewalks, because that is not something that is generally something that the city undertakes, unless if there is an opportunity like this one for a complete reconstruction of the street. The last time that we did something like that was reconstruction of B Street some years ago, that the sidewalks, my recollection is that they were made a little bit wider than they were before, and with some barb outs and such to accommodate, more sidewalk seating. This is an opportunity that has presented itself. The council has approved a policy in 2013 related to complete streets, and this project lends itself to that policy and implementing the concepts that council has been pursuing. I don't know if that's a good enough answer to your question, but that's what I have right now.
Alex, This is Alex. I do want to mention that, yeah, when I was passing out flyers along Main Street, I did talk to the owner of Acqua e Farina. I believe they're an Italian restaurant out there, and they were interested in the outdoor seating idea. And we asked them about the dimensions, and they're really excited about potentially having outdoor seating out there.
All right, Irene.
All right. Next question from Nicholas Yu. Is there a possibility to add a new concept? And if so, what's the deadline?
If there is a concept that is that has merit, yes, we can look into it. The door is not closed. If you can share that concept with us between now and our next council infrastructure committee that is going to come up in July, that would be good. I think it is July 22nd. Alex or Kathy can confirm that. But then even at the meeting, you can present your ideas. And like I said, if the concept has merit, we can look into it.
Okay, thank you, Alex. We have Carl with their hand raised. Carl, I'm going to unmute you.
That's Carl that spoke earlier.
I've already spoken.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna lower your hand. Okay, Jenny, we had some issues earlier. I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you. Jenny, if you still have a comment, you can go ahead.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Hi, I'm Jenny.
Hello.
And I had a few questions, actually. One of them is, how is that going to affect the fire department with it being on the corner of C and Main? And then it seems like maybe that would not allow for passing through of emergency vehicles. And then also, if the lights would then become three-way signals for turning. I work on the corner of B and Main, and I can see that this, it could be a problem as far as traffic jams. And I also agree with the third option, which is diagonal parking. I think is something to really would consider for the downtown area. We really do need a lot of parking. There's a real shortage of it lately. Prior to this whole shelter in place thing. So yeah, those are my questions.
So great questions. Jenny, first of all, we have been talking to and coordinating with fire department, and I can assure you that we will not do anything that doesn't have full and complete support of our fire department, because safety is first. We are not going to do something to hamper their movement. Regarding diagonal parking, we had the concept of diagonal parking in the middle of the street. It did not add to the number of parking spaces substantially compared to the concepts that we have. The three concepts provide for between 100 and 110 parking spaces. Alex can give you more accurate information, but they are between 100 and 110. The problem with diagonal parking in the middle of the street was that it was the safety, because when people get off their cars in the middle of the street, they have to either jaywalk to cross or walk all the way to a crosswalk and walk, rather than parking on the side of the street that they want to be. Regarding the three-way signal, I have not looked into it at this point. I don't know if Alex has any answers, but that is definitely something that we jotted down and we are going to look into. Alex, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I do want to add something about the traffic. So we did have our transportation department do a traffic analysis of all the intersections for this project boundary. And the results of the analysis concluded that the proposed road diet concept is not expected to cause significant impacts to the traffic operations in the area.
Okay. All right.
Irene?
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a question from Georgette Munoz. It says, we had to have an ADA ramp in front of our facility for access to our ATM. City approved the permits and we spent a lot of money to restructure the new sidewalk now in place. We were unaware of this improvement. If you are extending our sidewalks, an ADA ramp needs to be in place in front of our building. Is this the plan? And the address given is 22777 Main Street.
So I'm glad that you have the information down. Absolutely, positively, we are not going, the part of this project is to improve ADA access. So if there is an existing improvement, we are not going to interfere with the function. It is going to be replaced and function as good or better than it is right now.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Diane Lane mentions that she's worked on Main Street for the past 10 years. Since the loop was put in, the traffic has increased. What about the delivery trucks that take up a lane when parked and delivering their goods? The fire department uses this street often 3 to 4 times a day. This will be a problem if the delivery trucks are parked in the lane. I can easily see the lanes getting backed up. The only people on bikes that I ever see are the police officers. How will these things be addressed?
Like I mentioned, we are going to coordinate very closely with our fire department to make sure that what we do is going to meet their requirement. I know that they use Main Street frequently, and we are going to work with them and take all of their comments into consideration.
Okay, I have the hand raised, and I'm sorry if I don't pronounce your name right, Jianhen Wang. I'm gonna unmute you. I also see that you typed in a comment into the question and answer. Hopefully it's the same one. One second. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I'm John Han Wong. I'm a resident here in Hayward. I've driven, I've biked, and I've walked on Main Street, and I've also teach people how to bike safely in traffic, and you're in the East Bay, and I've done it in San Francisco. So for me, it's concept 2 looks to be very dangerous for bicyclists and any driver who doesn't want to accidentally kill anyone, because there is no buffer between for that door zone of cars. And recently, Devlin O'Connor recently died in Golden Gate Park from getting doored. This is a very serious issue that most people don't really consider, both drivers and bicyclists. It's because when especially if someone gets accidentally doored, the direct impact is that they get ejected onto the pavement right away. The other consequence is that they try to dodge a car door, hitting and then the right side of the handlebar hits the car door, and they get injected into traffic the other way. Either way, that leads to an unpredictable scenario where their body is out on traffic, and it's too sudden for any driver to stop in time. So for any oncoming driver. So I believe even with since doors can be variable, I'd recommend there has to be at least a 4-foot minimum on that side. So I'm more in favor of concept 1. So even if even though it's just 2 feet, any dooring wouldn't result in a fatal collision, because there's no cars on the other side and for concept 1. If concept 2 goes through, I wouldn't ride use the bike lane. I would advise people to not ride in the bike lane for that reason. As it's in the door zone, I would take the lane instead to increase my visibility and my safety. As for my question, I was wondering why bike parking wasn't included in any concept, as we could fit 6+ bikes in one car parking spot and 12 times or 12 spots or more if it's it's a 2-tiered system.
So thank you and appreciate your comment in favor of concept 1, but not for concept 2. The comment regarding bike parking has been made before, and we are going to take that into consideration and see if we can make accommodations for that.
Okay.
Irene?
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a comment from Diane Shaw. She would like to say that she prefers to have the buffer for the bike lane. Also, I have a question from, oh, actually, if we just answered that one, let me dismiss this one. Michael Williams says, why would you not provide potential life-saving protected bike lanes in order to add 2 more feet to the sidewalks? I think that was already answered as well. Let's see. We have another hand raised from Lawrence Danos. I'm gonna unmute you, Lawrence. Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, it's just as exciting that Main Street, these improvements to Main Street are happening. And I would have to, it looks like it's going to be really great for, or it has some benefits at least for bicyclists. And I would have to help them make the decision on whether it's number 1 or number 2. But I'm wondering about, so the sidewalks would be enlarged and widened, and would that be to make room for outdoor restaurant seating or things like that? And then also, how does these bike lanes, so this looks like a major bike lane through Hayward, through downtown. Does it have a connection, making it reasonable for bikes to get from the east side of Foothill to the west side, and vice, and then also crossing Mission? Is that all of that safe for bicyclists to funnel into downtown Hayward? I assume that's what the reason is, and to make it easier for bicyclists. For the bike lanes anyway. So I'm not sure if that's clear, but about the sidewalks and the bike lanes and how they connect and make downtown Hayward better for the businesses on the street, and also for the bicyclists going through town.
Thank you, Lawrence, for your comment and questions. Alex, can you start answering questions, or if you want me to jump in?
Yeah, I can answer that. So yeah, for the widening of the sidewalk, the idea is to provide potential outdoor seating, and also a wider sidewalk provides more room for people to get through, and a little bit more safety. But I think that the main thing is if we could provide more room for outdoor seating, it would, I think, help some of the business out there. So that's the answer to that question. Currently, Main Street is a bike route, so I believe I'm not, I don't have all the details of all the bike routes in the city, but for Main Street, it is a bike route, and it continues past McKeever through, I think, more of the residential area as a bike route.
And does it connect to the other side of Foothill very easily, and then on to the other side of Mission as well for bikes?
Yeah, I don't have that information with me right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lawrence. Okay, I have a question from Tom Bridge asking, why does the bike lane veer at the crosswalks? Is there an obstruction that forces this?
Alex, can you take that?
Yeah. So let's see. The question. When you say veers, not quite sure. Is there a specific location that he's asking about? For this concept too, the only place, it's pretty straight throughout. Only place that where it veers is where, you know, we have a curb bulb out there.
Yeah, unfortunately, he doesn't mention location, but
Yeah.
top bridge, if you want to.
You go to concept 1, Alex. Go to concept 1. You see at the go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see at the crosswalks, the
Okay.
bike lane comes in. That's what he's referring to.
I gotcha. Yeah, so these bulb outs, basically the idea is to shorten the crosswalk distance from one side to the other. So what happens is with a shorter crosswalk distance, you increase the safety of the pedestrian coming through this crosswalk area. So that's the idea, to make it safer for pedestrians and whoever's crossing this area to get through.
I see Tom Bridge has his hand raised, so I'm going to allow him to talk. Maybe he can specify more on his question. Go ahead, Tom. Tom, you might need to unmute your phone.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, that answered my question.
I think, yeah.
So it's interesting. So that was my kind of an engineering question that I was curious about when we from Alex's presentation, but listening to some of the other questions and call-ins, it kind of occurs to me that, you know, it looks like, you know, this is like a 4 or 5 block stretch in downtown, which I'm thinking the underlying reason is we're really trying to get more pedestrian traffic into downtown.
Correct.
And, you know, on this relatively short stretch of road. I'm not sure, you know, most of the people calling in, and I appreciate it, you know, are bicycle oriented, but I'm kind of thinking that, you know, if the object is to get people to come downtown and walk around, that the C2 pedestrian option, you know, looks better to me. You know, after all, we're only creating with C1, with the safer, which I agree with, the safer bike lanes, we're only creating like, what is it, 4 or 5 blocks of safer bike lane, you know, throughout the East Bay. Doesn't seem that that much to me, really, as opposed to if we're trying to get more people to come to walk around downtown Hayward.
Okay.
Anyway,
so you're in favor of concept number 2 because it has wider sidewalks.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for taking my comment.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay. I have a hand raised from Dominic Lee Mandry. I'm gonna unmute. Go ahead, Dominic, with your question or comment.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Hi, my name is Dominic Lamandri. I'm the district manager for the Downtown Hayward Improvement Association, the new community benefit district created in downtown just 2 years ago in 2018. And I'm calling in because I wanted to first thank you for the presentation. It's very informative, and I appreciate you all taking the time to provide this forum for us during this very challenging time. So again, thank you for that. It's very informative. And I was wondering if there's any possibility for the outreach team or the principals on the that could give a presentation to the Downtown Hayward Improvement Association's Land Use Committee, so property owners could have a chance to provide some feedback and ask questions regarding the plan, because there's a significant amount of property owners that are bounded by our district that will be affected by this project. And as of right now, I haven't heard of any questions from them regarding this project, and that tells me that they don't really know much about it. So we would request that an outreach be done for the Downtown Hayward Improvement Association, which I would be the contact for, and we would appreciate any meeting that we can schedule in the near future so we can all have a chance to have a constructive dialogue.
Hi, Dominic. Thank you for joining and making the comment. Let me ask you, because we are in this time right now and we can't have in-person meetings, what is the difference? What would be the difference between that meeting and this one that we are having right now, if they could have joined, or the meeting that we are gonna have in front of our infrastructure committee next month? Having said that, though, if you think that there is a benefit for us to have a different Zoom meeting for only DHIA land use committee, we'll be happy to do that too.
Yeah, that is what I'm suggesting, because a lot of property owners would prefer not to be caught off guard by this project. And as I mentioned before, it's my belief that a lot of them are unaware of this project. So we think this would be a useful forum for us to inform property owners and also provide them the chance to ask questions and realize how this will impact their property and their operations.
Okay. In the meantime, though, I just want to let you know that we are going to have a presentation similar to this to our infrastructure committee. I believe, Kathy, it is going to be on July 22nd, right?
Correct. Yeah, July 22nd.
Yes, on July 22nd at 4:30 in the afternoon. But if, like I said, though, let me repeat that if you see some additional benefit in having another Zoom meeting with them, we'll be happy to do it.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of contacts that we have that aren't particularly attuned to the city schedule. So we would like to rope them into the discussion and give, like I said, give them a chance to provide feedback.
Okay, sounds good. We'll coordinate with you and make it happen.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Didicus Ramos. I'm gonna allow you to talk. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Hi, I'm Didicus Ramos, and I'll be representing both myself and a landowner on the corner of C and Mission. I think it's more important to include the businesses and not just the landowners. Most of the landowners that I know are not all that interested in what is happening with this particular issue, but that this very, very much affects the businesses that line the streets of downtown area. In a broader sense, I'm looking for the coordinated, consistent, accessible, connected plan that would connect all of Hayward together through bike lanes. That's why I think this is important too on Main Street. Not that it's a one plan, but that it's part of a bigger plan. So I know that you understand that, Alex, but I think that there was one comment that didn't seem to understand that, that this has to be part of a bigger plan and that those lanes need to be connected. There's too often where I'm trying to ride my bike and the lane just stops and I'm suddenly thrown into mad traffic, and that's got to end. We need to be able to go from safe bike lane to safe bike lane. Now, as far as the design on Main Street goes, I favor more bollards, bright colored bollards than the separator that you have. I would think that what I've seen in other cities, I saw them in Santa Barbara, I saw them in San Luis Obispo, and I've seen them in a couple cities on the peninsula. The bollards were about 4 feet tall. They were either bright orange or bright green, like the color of the bike lane, and they were clearly visible to drivers. Bikers know where they're at. It's the drivers that can't see us. They're not looking for us, but they do see the bollards. So I would encourage that over what you're suggesting, which is pretty, but I'd rather be safe than pretty. And I don't think that it needs to be compromised just to have something that somebody can say, oh, isn't that nice? I think we need to be safe. We need to have more access, but I don't think 15 feet is actually necessary on most of the sidewalks. When I was measuring the sidewalks on B Street, most of them were not 15 feet. They were closer to 12 and some of them were 10. Correct. So and that gave us plenty of room to pass each other, even in this time where we were not close together and separated and masked. So it is providing that kind of safety as well. But the different businesses like Aquafina that yes, they tried to have tables out there before, you might recall, but the clientele at the Green Shutter Hotel was the problem. That's been changed, so I'm looking forward to having that available to them now, so that they can do exactly what they do on B Street with the bulb outs there for the restaurants. I think that's an important addition to our street environment and our access on our streets. Finally, the access, I don't think there should be turn lanes for the traffic. Main Street has a habit, since it's mostly empty, a lot of people, including myself, will use it as a cut through from A Street to D Street without having to go on Mission Boulevard, which is a raceway also. If Main Street, once we get this done, Main Street will be calmed by the fact that there are the traffic lanes, the bollards, and the wider sidewalks. The calming should slow traffic, and we shouldn't be doing anything that allows traffic to go faster. There's no reason for it to go faster. We need more people out of their cars and into our stores. And because cars don't buy things, people buy things. So we need access. But the more people that we can get to bike downtown or to walk downtown, the better off all of us are. So I'm trying to encourage items and design elements that will do just that. So that's what those are my comments. Also, I would like to suggest that you get a copy from Carl of his video that he made of the downtown. If you haven't already seen it, show it to the council members, although I did share it with some of the council members already. I think he did an excellent job of giving us visual comparisons with other streets and the issues and that we can understand in real, not just in plan form, but in real visual moving action, which is always different. People say they understand that. Then when you actually take them to those places, they go, oh, this is what you're talking about. I didn't understand that. So I do encourage you to get a copy of Carl Gorin's video. Thank you very much for
Thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you, Didicus. Okay, I see a comment, actually a question, a comment from Nicholas Yu. His hand is also raised. He's saying currently there are many homeless people who like to loiter on Main Street. If we widen the sidewalks, isn't there more potential for the homeless population to loiter on the new sidewalks? How will we respond to this potential new problem? I'm going to, oh, I think he lowered his hand. So his question is, how are you going to respond to the new potential problem of homeless?
Thank you for the comment. I jotted it down.
Okay. There's a question from Georgette on the estimated date of completion.
Alex? Alex, do you have the information?
We're anticipating the project to start in the spring of 2022, and it'll probably take about 8 or 9 months to construct.
Right, so we are in, okay, so you have the...
Oh, excuse me, it starts in the fall of 2000, oh no, I'm sorry, I was right, sorry.
Right. So we are in the beginning of the design phase. After we go through and get your comments, the design is going to take several months. After that, sometime towards the end of next year, we are going to go to construction. Construction is going to take a year or so. So by the end of 2022, construction should be completed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, next.
We don't have any more hands raised. If you still have a question, please raise your hand. But we do have a few comments on the question and answer board. Bruce says, just to be clear, I favor C1 protected bike lanes with buffer on passenger side rather than buffered bike lanes with buffer on the driver's side. The only way to get interested but concerned cyclists on the road is to protect the cyclists from cars. Also, Juan Alvarado says, thank you very much for having this meeting and for answering our questions. Reno Sanchez says, if anyone's interested in the San Lorenzo Creekway project, there's a community meeting tomorrow night. and she put the details or a link there. I'm gonna keep that up if anyone's interested. Carl says, my concept for diagonal parking is along the side. I agree that having it in the center of the road is not a good idea. I do see someone just raise their hand, Michael Williams. I'm gonna unmute you. Go ahead, Michael. Michael, you might want to unmute your phone.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay, hi. So I work for HARD. I'm the project manager for the San Lorenzo Creekway that I think Reno and someone else just mentioned. So thank you for that. Yes, we are having a meeting tomorrow night. It's our second community meeting. So if you just go to HARD's website or just Google San Lorenzo Creekway, only our project calls it that. But people that are interested, especially in pedestrian and bicycle facilities, you should check that out, because one of the things that we do want to do is tie it into the downtown Hayward area projects that are going on, Main Street, others. The goal is to take the San Lorenzo Creekway is basically a project that wants to take and open up the county flood control district's maintenance roads that kind of alternates on opposite sides of the San Lorenzo Creekway, the channelized portion, really from Foothill all the way out to the bay. We're looking to get an ATP grant for that, and that would open up like 5+ miles of class 1 facility that would tie into the downtown Hayward area as it goes there at Foothill and then goes eastward up into the East Bay Regional Park system. So we really need input from Hayward. We've been focusing a lot on San Lorenzo, Cherryland, Ashland, those areas, but we don't want to exclude Hayward. We need Hayward's input on it as well. And so it'll be part of a general area system, not just something that's one location. So I just wanted to throw that out, and thank you for putting this together, and thank the people that made comments, especially for the Creekway. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael, thank you very much for your comment. I really appreciate it. We are very much interested in this, and we are going to go to the HARD website and get the information. We may even want to talk to you separately about what this project is and how it benefits Hayward, and see if we have something that we can work together on.
Sure, more than happy to, and I'm available.
Great, thank you, Michael.
Okay. Back to the question and answer. Jonathan Scranton says the buffer in C1 is essential for cyclist safety. The traffic calming benefits of the buffers will also increase safety for pedestrians in the area. I was struck and seriously injured by a vehicle on C and Foothill. It's imperative to install additional bike infrastructure in surrounding areas to ensure this thoroughfare is accessible to all. Alex, were you commenting on that? I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that, we are going to reach out to everyone that was in this call and otherwise publicize the implementation of our bike and ped master plan later this year, for sure.
Okay. Lacey Modi says, commenting in support of the design with the bike lane buffer, thank you. Hayward resident and bike to BART cyclist. Juan Alvarado would like to note that he's in favor of concept 1. Colin Tormoto also voices support for concept 1. Diane Lane made a comment that she doesn't believe her question was addressed regarding the delivery trucks blocking the lane. She had mentioned
That's a good comment. And what I was saying is that we are going to look into that and discuss that with our fire department as we get more input from them regarding different aspects of the final design for this project. I heard that comment. It was a good comment, and we are going to discuss it with our fire department regarding their access when a delivery truck is has stopped on one of the lanes.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Moving on, Bruce says bulb outs are not necessary for pedestrians crossing bike lanes since there's less risk in crossing bike lanes Meanwhile, you create an obstacle to cyclists by making cyclists ride around the bulb outs. See, next one is Stephen Dunbar. Wanted to mention that it's possible to make the bike lane straight at the crosswalks and have a waiting area in between. We could also make changes to the intersection to mark the bike lane area in the intersections and other things, but I'll leave that for the detailed designs.
You know, the last two comments, both of them are valid, good comments. We are going to look into it and see which concept has more merit in terms of having straight bike lanes or having bike lanes to follow the bulb out. Good comments. We are going to look into them and address them during the final design. And of course, there will be other opportunities for comment as well by the Bikies Bay community and others who use bike lanes in Hayward.
Carl Gorange put a link to his YouTube video that was mentioned previously. Didicus Ramos says, please add my support for diagonal parking along the west side of the street, across the street from the green shutter. Our measurements show that the diagonal parking could double the amount of vehicles parked. Eventually, downtown should have another parking structure along the Main Street corridor. He also adds bike parking units must be functional, accommodating more than just 1 or 2 bikes. We need more places to park safely. SF designates specific times for deliveries. That might be a solution, but in the end, the delivery trucks must access the business or there won't be business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is another question came in from Jian Wang. I'd like to ask that the door zones 4 feet opening be dynamically marked for the parts of the bike lane they affect so people can avoid them, even on concept 1, so that no dooring happens, even if it's a lot less likely to be fatal compared to concept 2. Also, please have intersections detect bike presence. Let's see. Carl says 15 to 17 feet sidewalks isn't really enough space for outdoor seating. Better to have bulb outs, but that would cause more weaving for concept 1. I would like to see diagonal parking with bulb outs for outdoor seating like E Street.
Okay.
Okay, that's it in the question and answer option. I don't see any more hands raised. I think that's the end of the questions.
Great. But give the opportunity one more time for anyone else that might want to make any comment. Irene?
Yes. So if you are calling in and would like to raise your hand and give a comment, please dial *9. Also, the question and answer, I just saw something come in from Steve Dunbar. Thanks very much for your time in this discussion. If you have any more questions, you can type them in. Nicholas Yu has a comment. I'm the manager here at Sapporo Restaurant. My family has been here since 1997. I too am concerned for other merchants on Main Street since we often help and support each other. Due to COVID-19, we also have an increase in food delivery drivers, DoorDash and Grubhub. And with bars reopening, there will be an increase in ride-sharing apps. With single lanes and parallel parking, this is going to cause a lot of traffic. I also support diagonal parking.
Okay. All right.
Kiss says, thank you very much for hosting this forum, much appreciated.
I actually, on behalf of all of our city staff, want to thank you for your participation, for your constructive comments, and you raised a whole lot of good questions. We are going to take them into consideration as we develop our concepts and get more feedback from our infrastructure committee. Like I said, on July 22nd at 4:30 p.m. Thank you very much, and we appreciate your participation.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.